ahead and wiped out Oscar Escandón last May here inside this very venue. And I have to tell you, when it comes to entertainment all over the world, MGM knows how to do it at a world-class level. We've done many events in Las Vegas. This is our second straight event here at MGM National Harbor. The staff is amazing, the entertainment, the hotel, everything about MGM National Harbor is first class. It is a crown jewel here on the East Coast, and we want to bring up the Senior Vice President of Marketing and Operations from MGM National Harbor, Pete Brascia.
Ray's a tough one to follow, man. Good looks, and what a voice, huh? I want to go before you next time. So look, on behalf of Melanie Johnson, our president and COO, our nearly 4,000 employees, I want to welcome the fighters, their camps. I want to welcome TGB Promotions, Showtime Championship Boxing, back to MGM National Harbor. It's hard to believe, but a year ago, I stood on a very similar stage, and as we prepared for Gary Russell Jr. to defend his WBC featherweight championship against Oscar Escandón. And it's a year later, and Gary, you did not disappoint your fans. He earned a 7th round TKO, and they loved it. You know, the fans here in Prince George County and the Capital Region love a good show, they love a good fight, and they love it even more when they have their hometown hero here to cheer for. So I'm sure this Saturday night will be no different. It's going to be an incredible show between Gary Russell Jr. and undefeated former Olympian Joseph Jojo Diaz. And Jojo, I just want to welcome you and your camp to MGM National Harbor. With that, I'm hoping for good weather Saturday night, but I know we're going to get a great show. Good luck, guys.
Pete Brascia, ladies and gentlemen, and Saturday night, the WBC Featherweight Championship World between Gary Russell Jr., the champion, and Joseph Diaz Jr., brought to you by TGB Promotions in association with Golden Boy Promotions. I also want to thank our sponsor, Corona Extra, La Cerveza Más Fina, as we have the lovely Corona girls behind me, Chelsea and Taylor here as well. And don't forget, tickets start as low as $50, and you could get them at the M-Line office or at Ticketmaster.com. When it comes to boxing, the standard when it comes to networks is Showtime Championship Boxing. They have been, their march was unbelievable. Every month they get better and better. And they continue to set the bar when it comes to televising boxing. With that said, I want to bring up the president of sports and event programming for Showtime, Mr. Steven Espinoza.
Thanks, Ray. We're thrilled to be here at MGM National Harbor. MGM is an incredible brand. It means a lot in boxing. It is a brand that is known throughout the sport at the highest levels, and we appreciate the entire MGM organization, their support for the sport. You know, it's been an interesting couple weeks in boxing. A lot of announcements, new ventures, big numbers, big promises, but really here at Showtime, we just keep doing what we've been doing. And what we've been doing is delivering the best fighters, the biggest fights, week after week, month after month. Showtime Championship Boxing is the home of more world champions, more world championship fights than any other network. And speaking of title fights, on Saturday, we're gonna have 3 of them from 3 different countries. In the afternoon, 5 p.m. Eastern, streaming on the Showtime Facebook page and its social media platforms. We have the IBF featherweight title with champion Lee Selby against challenger Josh Warrington. Then obviously 10:05 p.m. we've got the WBC featherweight title, Gary Russell, and taking on the challenger Jojo Diaz. And then immediately following the Russell fight, we'll take you to Toronto for yet another 3rd title fight, and that's the WBC light heavyweight title fight between Adonis Stevenson and Badou Jack. That's 3 title fights, 6 fighters from taking place in 3 fights across 3 countries. All 6 fighters ranked in the top 10 in their division. A combined record across those 6 fighters, 157 wins, only 4 losses. But we're here today for Gary Russell and Joseph Diaz. It's an outstanding matchup. Gary is, without question, one of the most skilled, if not the most skilled fighter in any division. He's known for having the fastest hands in the sport. Joseph Diaz, a young rising star contender I've known personally since he turned pro. I believe we did that on Showtime, correct? These are 2 action fighters, aggressive, come forward, fan-friendly fighters. It will no doubt be an action-packed night. Remember, 5 p.m. streaming for the IBF title fight, and then on Showtime at 10:05 p.m. Thank you.
Mr. Steven Espinoza, ladies and gentlemen of Showtime. And in this fight, ladies and gentlemen, in the main event of the evening, you have 2 guys who are southpaws, you have 2 guys who are Olympians, 2 guys who are exciting, and also 2 outstanding individuals. They're wonderful ambassadors for the sport of boxing. And where does that all stem from? Having a good family life. As we want to acknowledge the trainers who happen to be the fathers of these 2 gentlemen. Gary Sr., ladies and gentlemen, we mentioned that he'll be celebrating his birthday. I'd also want to acknowledge Joseph Diaz Sr. as well, ladies and gentlemen, to my left. They both come from wonderful families. And now we want to bring up the contender, a young man who has a record of 26-0, 14 knockouts. You know, in the 2012 United States boxing team, a part of that class, there have been 3 world champions. This young man is trying to become the 4th world champion out of that class, but it will not be easy. But he's prepared himself, and he is ready to go. 26-0, 14 knockouts from South El Monte, California. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Joseph Jojo Diaz Jr.
Good afternoon, everyone. First off, I want to thank Golden Boy Promotions, Robert Diaz, Oscar De La Hoya, for giving me this opportunity to be fighting for a world title. I also want to thank my dad for getting me 110% for this fight. My strength and conditioning coach, Daryl Hudson, we had a tremendous training camp. My manager, Ralph Heredia and Moses Heredia, for always being there for me and making sure I'm always extremely blessed, man. I really appreciate it. What can I say? It's already around the corner, man. It's a couple days away. I'm very excited. The moment's already here. I've been waiting for this moment my whole entire life. I'm not going to take anything for granted. I trained very hard. I know what Gary Russell brings to the table. I know he's the toughest in the division, but I'm willing to go out there and defeat him and bring back the WBC title, not only for myself, but for the sport of boxing as well. I want to make sure that I'm an active 126-pound fighter and give the fight fans great fights and deliver the great fights where I can start unifying these titles and stay an active fighter. I appreciate Gary Russell Jr. for giving me this opportunity. I know it's going to be fireworks. Like I said, I had a 10-week training camp. I trained very hard. I'm already at weight, and I'm ready to go come Saturday night. So let's get it on, baby.
And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, tickets start as low as $50. The WBC Featherweight Championship of the World between Russell and Diaz is brought to you by TGB Promotions in association with Golden Boy Promotions and sponsored by Corona Extra, La Cerveza Más Fina. And now let's welcome a man from Capitol Heights, Maryland. He loves this area. When the MGM National Harbor was built, it was just so fitting because there's so much talent in this area. And you have a world champion here in Gary Russell Jr. making his 3rd defense, 28-1 with 17 knockouts. And he just continues to get better. And also, when you think about the featherweight division, as Steven Espinoza mentioned, it is loaded. It has so much talent. But as we all know in boxing, the belt that is the most identifiable is the green belt, the WBC Championship. And this man, Gary Russell Jr., holds the WBC Featherweight Championship of the World. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from Capitol Heights, Maryland, here is Gary Russell Jr.
It's a pleasure being here. We had a very, very long training camp. As a reigning world champion, I wouldn't expect anything less. You know, Joseph Diaz, he worked his way up the rankings to be the #1 contender to fight for the WBC world title. He already mentioned that I am the best fighter in the division and that the other world champions in the division are afraid to step in the ring and compete against me. I take my hat off to him and to his team for having the guts to be able to actually step into the ring and take a certain type of individual, you know, to actually participate in the sport of boxing, you know, and for him to want to get in the ring and compete against the best of the best speaks volumes about him as an individual. And as a champion, I wouldn't expect nothing less than a worthy opponent. We 120% ready. We hungry. As long as we got this strap, can't nobody walk down the street. I know he's gonna bring his physical best to the table, but we ready. We ready, my little brothers. They fighting on the undercard, Antonio Russell as well as Antoine Russell. Like I say, my father's birthday will be the 20th, a day after the fight. It's ironic that both of us are trained by our fathers. You know, I think that's pretty cool because at the end of the day, when you're looking at your coaching, that's your last line of defense. When everything else goes wrong in the ring, you go to your corner and your corner gives you the instructions to tell you what's going wrong, why it's going wrong, and how to correct it. You have to have a level of trust and belief in your corner. You know, how much trust can you get when it's coming from your parents, when it's your father telling you what to do? It makes it much easier for you to go out there and execute it and get the job done. So I'm ready. Third title defense. The strap stay home, y'all. Y'all know what it is. Grind time. Yeah.
Gary Russell Jr., ladies and gentlemen, the WBC featherweight champion of the world. Now it gives me the great honor and pleasure to introduce, we have a champion here. We have a young man who believes he will be a future world champion on Saturday night, but also in life, we have a man who's a champion himself. And what I mean by that is Brian Custer has been dealing with cancer, and cancer cannot get him down. He constantly beats cancer. He's a champion in his own right. Aside from the fact that he's a heck of an on-air talent, being the host of Showtime Championship Boxing, he does not let cancer get him down, and he's beaten it time and time again. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome. He's going to ask the fighters a couple of questions. He's a class act on the mic and off the mic. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Mr. Brian Custer.
Ray, thank you very much. You guys want to hear from the fighters? Just got a few questions for you. Champ, let me start with you. Since you faced, I think it was Vasily Lomachenko, that was about 4 years ago.
Correct.
Is Joseph Diaz the best fighter that you've faced since that time, considering he's the first unbeaten fighter that you've faced since your second pro fight?
Honestly, it's very, very difficult for me to answer that question. And the reason why is because I never really worry about my opponents that much. I think the biggest thing is preparing myself to the best of my ability and being the best that I could possibly be. I never really focus on my opponents. I believe in my ability to make the necessary adjustments no matter what my opponent brings across the ring. If he wants to come in there and box, we have the ability to be equally as comfortable boxing long range. If he wants to come in and be rough and rugged and make it the fight in the phone booth, we can be comfortable and do that as well. I think in order to be great at anything, you have to have a level of versatility, and I feel as though that's something that I bring to the table that a lot of fighters don't bring.
Jojo, Gary has used a number of analogies for this fight. We had a discussion on the air one time, and he said this fight, he sees it like a lion going after his prey. He's described Saturday that it's going to be a massacre. Do you think the champion's overlooking you?
Absolutely. I truly think that he underestimated me. I hope that he started realizing that I'm the real deal after the press conference and started taking this camp seriously. I trained this for my whole entire life. I'm ready for this opportunity. I know that this opportunity is presented to me not only because of my hard work, but it's by God as well. I feel like this is the opportunity of a lifetime and the opportunity that I'm really going to go out there and showcase my skills to the whole world and to showcase to everybody what I'm really truly about.
I read somewhere where you said, listen, I've seen some flaws in the champion. I'm going to be the bigger fighter, maybe go to the body. How do you combat speed?
It's all about timing. I mean, Gary Russell Jr. He does have the fastest hands in boxing, but like I said, we watched a lot of tape, and we do see a lot of flaws in his game. Just like every other fighter, no fighter's perfect. Everybody has flaws in the game. So we're just gonna capitalize on what we see and take full advantage of it come Saturday night.
Champ, are you overlooking him?
Nah, I'm definitely not overlooking anyone. Anyone that has 8 to 10 weeks to prepare for no one else but you is definitely a dangerous opponent. We never overlook anyone. Like I say, my biggest objective is to prepare myself to the best of my ability. You know, I believe in my ability, I believe in my punching power, I believe in my hand speed, I believe in my ring generalship, and I believe in the ability to make the necessary adjustments. That's exactly what we're gonna do. We never overlook nobody.
You fought once, basically a year for the past 3 years.
Correct.
Is this the year we see Gary Russell Jr. multiple times in the ring?
I mean, I would love for this to be the year. You know, the #1 contender, he already made the statement that I am the best fighter in the division. You have to understand the concept of business. A lot of the fighters, as well as the managers and promoters, aren't willing to step and put their fighter in the ring against Mr. Gary Russell Jr. As prize fighters, we get paid based upon our ability to be able to produce. When you look at these managers and promoters that invested a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of energy into their fighters, it's not a good investment to put their investment into the ring with Mr. Gary Russell Jr. because their chances of producing is very, very slim. I would love to compete. I've been calling out all the other world champions in the division. None of the other world champions has answered me calling them out. You know, I've been stuck with dealing with having to compete against my mandatory challengers. We're willing to do that. If God willing, we get through this bout, I would love to get a unification bout with any of the guys, once again, that's in my division. Lee Salisbury will be competing the same day that I'll be competing. He has the IBF title, that's a unification bout. Another champion that I already approached that we wanted to try to get a unification bout with. Leo Santa Cruz and Abner Mars will be fighting soon after me and JoJo
June 9th
in June.
on Showtime Championship Boxing.
Exactly. So the timing would be almost perfect for any of these unification bouts to happen. If it doesn't happen, then I'm willing to move up and weight anywhere between the weight divisions of 126 to 140 to meet any of these guys that do have a name in the catch weight. It's time to make it happen.
He's a very active fighter. One of the things that he believes will be an advantage for him is because he has been active and you fight once a year, maybe ring rust will be an issue for you. Will it be an issue?
I mean, everyone has opinions and everyone's entitled to their opinion, regardless of the situation. This will be my 3rd title defense. Both of my other title defense were equally a year apart. You've seen no ring rust. I look equally as sharp, if not even sharper, whenever I do compete. Once again, it's no secret that I have had hand injuries in the past. The fact that I don't compete as often, it gives me the ability to preserve my body. I preserve my hands, I preserve my body, I stay in the gym, I stay shape, and I stay strong.
How much of an advantage you think your activity will be in this fight?
I personally think that there's no advantage. Like Gary Russell said, he fought 3 times for a year. He took a layoff, and he fought again for a year, and he took a layoff a year. So I feel like there's not going to be no advantage. I personally wanted Gary Russell to be at his best come fight night, and because I know I'm extremely at my best, so I want the best man to win that night, and I want the loser just to acknowledge the winner and make sure that there's not going to be no excuses that it was because of a layover or because of an inactive camp or any of that. I just want that acknowledgement, and before we can have that respect for both fighters.
You called Gary the best featherweight in the world. You're victorious Saturday. You become the new champ. Are you the best featherweight in the world at that point?
Yes, I will be. I'll be on top of the throne, and then hopefully I could get some big fights out in LA.
What would it mean to you? I had the opportunity to do some of your early fights. What would it mean to you to be the WBC featherweight champion?
It'll mean everything, not only just for myself, but for my family as well, for my mom, my dad. Just all the hard work, man. I get emotional just knowing that all the struggles that we've been through, man. It's finally here, and I'm gonna do everything possible to come out victorious. And after this, our lives are gonna change. Not only that, I'm gonna inspire my youth, inspire all the people around me, just to know that dreams do come true, and the come up is real. As long as you put your mind to it, anything's possible.
And so, JoJo, when you go to sleep at night, I'm sure you imagine the fight's probably going to go like this, probably do this, do that. What has come to your mind when you've thought about this fight and what's going to happen Saturday night?
Yeah, I see it. I seen everything that he's gonna offer. I feel like he's gonna want to box a little bit, move around, use his jab, create angles, try to use his speed to, keep me at distance and at range. And then it's gonna come to the point where he's not gonna want to move as much, and then he's gonna want to bang on the inside. And I feel like that's what I want to be, and I know he's gonna want to be there too, because we're gonna be exchanging and delivering some great blows to the fight fans, and let the best man win, whoever catches who first.
My last question for you, JoJo. Give me a prediction on what you think and what you believe is going to happen Saturday night. When you look at a number of your fights, you've come on stronger in the second half of the fights. Is this a fight that you want to go the distance? What do you believe is going to happen Saturday night?
I'm ready for anything. I'm ready for if it's going to stop early. I'm ready for if it goes a distance. I trained hard. I'm ready to push every single round more than the round before. And like I said, if the knockout comes early, then it comes early. If not, then if it goes the distance, it's going to go the distance. But at the end of May 19th, I will be the new WBC champion.
Champ. You heard JoJo. Obviously very confident young man. And he's talked about how he sees this fight playing out. How do you see this fight playing out Saturday night?
Well, like I said, being the reigning WBC champion of the world, I wouldn't ask for anything less than a worthy opponent. I wouldn't want to get in the ring with someone that feels as though that they're going to lose. I don't want to get step in the ring with someone that's not going to physically be the best that they can possibly be on the night that they were competing. As far as what I think about the fight, I don't plan on going the distance with any of my next couple fights. If I do, I'll be disappointed within myself, because I don't feel as though that anyone in my division have the ability to handle what it is that I bring to the table.
Last question to you, champ. We do have Lee Selby fighting that night. We've got the rematch, the highly anticipated rematch between Leo Santa Cruz and Abner Mares on June 9th. Those guys will be watching. Is there some kind of message you want to send to those guys Saturday night? Because I'm sure a number of them want to see what's going to happen here.
Oh man, it's definitely an honor to I always say this, but it's an honor to share the field of battle, to share the field of battle, with the fighters, the fans, the spectators, camera crew. We all play a part. The message that I want to send to everyone, and especially to the fighters, is that I appreciate them as individuals. Once again, it takes a particular type of person to be able to participate in this sport. Very, very strong-minded, gotta be disciplined, gotta be resilient, you gotta be able to push physically and mentally yourselves to the limit. Hopefully at the end of the day, we'll be able, once again, this is just an occupation for us. Hopefully at the end of the day, we'll be able to gain the currency that we need to provide for our families, because that's ultimately what we all do it for, whatever the occupation is. We're doing it for ourselves, our families, our loved ones, and the people that we genuinely care about. So hopefully we line ourselves up with positions for all of us, for all of the gladiators, to be able to provide a good, healthy foundation for our families and our loved ones.
Fantastic. With that, we're going to pose off and face off the fighters.
That's a good chair.